EPA WA meteorologist Bobby Martin here with your outlook for June 16th, 2025. It is Monday, and we're back to work. And Kinsley's Family Market in Broadheadsville, Monroe County, Pennsylvania, sponsors the Monday video forecast. Grill into graduation. Summer is heating up, and so are the savings at Kinsley ShopRite. Whether you're celebrating your recent grad or just firing up the grill, they've got everything you need to make your backyard bash unforgettable. Butcher cuts of meats and farm fresh produce. Nothing says summer like the sizzle of the grill and the smell of a backyard barbecue. See you soon at Kinsley ShopRite, proud longtime sponsor of the Monday video forecast. We haven't had much in the way of grueling weather here recently, and it's going to continue into early this week. But I do see a light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to discuss that in here in today's video. Today we still have a stalled boundary that was in place over the weekend. It's kind of sitting down here like this. There is a low pressure at the end of that sitting there. But there is a stalled boundary still sitting there, and that means we're going to have pretty much wash, rinse, repeat from what we saw on Sunday. Almost identical, in fact, where you still have the opportunity for a isolated or stray shower at any location and at any time. But most of the day is going to be cloudy. That's why I have the clouds behind me and the cloud icon above the temperatures, which aren't going to be fluctuating much across the region today. 68 to 70 is the temperature spread across the region today. So we get over the NAM high-res future simulated radar. I'm going to start this off at noon, just so you can see. There's a little, I mean, it might not be exactly here. This is where the model's trying to depict where there may be a stray shower, and it would be very light and drizzly kind of stuff, annoying kind of stuff like we've had on Sunday at times. But you're not going to have anything really concentrated here. Maybe a little bit in south central Pennsylvania as we get through the afternoon today. But even that wanes as we go throughout the day too. But some of these areas here are just going to get some persistent light drizzle, patchy drizzle, or mist in association with these clouds today. And then after that point, we have this frontal boundary off to our south that it's going to start moving northward as a warm front. So finally, it's going to be on the move, and it's going to bring in some warm air on the opposite side of that. So it's still going to be cool here on Wednesday. Not quite as cool. We're getting to the 70s, though. But we do have a little bit more in the way of showers coming in, especially for our northern areas during the day here on Tuesday, and the rest of the front moves through here on Tuesday night. Maybe a lingering shower on a Wednesday morning, but I think it's going to be clouds giving way to sun. That's right, sun. You haven't heard that word in quite a few days now, and we could be dealing with that finally on Wednesday. Heading back to the NAM here just to see what it does here for Tuesday. We get some showers working in again. These are generally light, but look where it's attacking. Generally the northern areas during the day here on Tuesday. The rest of the area is just, again, cloudy or mostly cloudy. And then we get into the overnight. The rest of the region gets some showers with this front moving northward. And then I'll go into very early Wednesday morning. And here's what the cloud cover looks like at Wednesday morning. It's still plenty of clouds in place. That's been in place for the last couple of days, several days. But look what happens in the afternoon. It goes away. We have sun breaking out here in the afternoon. Still could be an isolated thunderstorm, though, in a few spots here in the afternoon. As you can see, a few spots might get into something like that, but it will be more isolated on Wednesday. Once we get beyond that, here's that isolated threat on Wednesday right here. You see the afternoon, just an isolated threat for a thunderstorm in spots, but it shouldn't be a concentrated deal. Now, here on Thursday, the Storm Prediction Center actually put an outlook out for this. We talked about this in the weekend video, that we had this as a watch point for Thursday because a cold front was moving through. Well, that cold front is still moving through, and the difference this time, it's going to be running into a very hot and soupy environment. So what's going to come down to timing of this frontal boundary to see if we have any severe weather. And Storm Prediction Center does have an outlook out here that covers most of these areas in here for the potential for severe weather. I don't disagree with that now, which again, it's just going to come down to timing. If it comes in too early in the day, that'll mitigate some of the severe threat. If it comes in, obviously, after dark, it mitigates some of it too, which just has to be perfectly timed within that like 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. window. And if it coincides with that and we get some scattered thunderstorms, they could turn severe. When severe, we're talking about in this mode would be linear, which means it's going to be straight line winds is going to be the threat here on Thursday. But again, we're not there yet. It's just a matter of timing, and that can move around a little bit here over the next couple of days. If this timing holds, I think we're okay here on Thursday as far as seeing severe weather, that it's not going to mitigate it in any way. And the reason why the severe potential is there is out ahead of this front here on Thursday. We're going to have some temperatures getting up in the upper 80s to even low 90s in our southeastern areas. Also very high dew points, extremely high dew points in the 70s. So that's going to lead to some very high instability values. And when you have instability in a cold front, which is a trigger running into that this time of year, that could spell some trouble here for some damaging wind gusts with any thunderstorm activity. It is not a recipe for, synoptically anyway, it is not a setup for tornadoes in this case, or even very large hail. It looks like it's mainly a linear straight line wind damage threat, but that could be pretty dangerous too. So we're going to follow that throughout the week as well. Once this cold front moves through, we're back to mostly sunny skies here on Friday and Saturday, and partly cloudy on Sunday. That's right, we are going for, which is unheard of, but a totally dry weekend, which is insane. We haven't had one of those in forever, it seems like. And you're not wrong if you think that, because that's exactly what's happened in most locations anyway, that we haven't had a dry weekend since going back to April. Some places in a region, you had to go all the way back to March to see that. It's been a long time. And right now we're dealing with a March-like temperature, well, April-like temperature, so it'll be very fitting anyway, right? As we get past this cold front on Thursday, it'll be mostly sunny on Friday, but lower humidity, temperatures seasonable, near average. We're going to start increasing those temperatures next weekend, with temperatures getting slightly above average on Saturday and approaching 90 degrees on Sunday. It'll be the first day, we think, of a possible heat wave. A heat wave is defined as 3 or more consecutive days of 90 degrees or above, and we could have that in that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday time frame of the following week, okay? And that's because we have some strong ridging. Here's looking at Thursday. Doesn't look like there's a lot of ridging, but there's some upper 80s to near 90. There's not really a lot of ridging here going on here on Thursday, so I think it's going to be limited. But watch what happens as I move this forward. These high pressures, these ridges are very strong ridges in their case when they're in that dark red like that. I'm going to oversimplify this on purpose, as I realize if I start talking about geopotential heights, you guys are going to be like, what the hell is he talking about? So we're going to use colors here. We're going to keep this as basic as I can. This is a very strong upper air ridge where this red is here, and this one down here is another one. Okay, so you have these two very strong upper level ridges, and underneath of that is some very high temperatures. Okay, that's the basic gist of it. Watch what happens as I move this forward and go into next week. Here's one of these ridges popping over the Tennessee Valley. This is Saturday. Look what happens Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. It sits right over top of us. So we get some very hot temperatures coming in next week. Does it last to Wednesday? Maybe. It starts to collapse here on Wednesday and head a little bit further south, but I think there's enough in here on Wednesday where we get at least to 90 in our southern areas. But this is going to get some temperatures in the low to mid 90s. It looks like some very hot temperatures and still very soupy in this time frame too. You have a southwesterly wind flow in this case, so it's going to be pretty humid, hot and humid, typical summer stuff. So this could be our first heat wave by definition as we get in that Sunday to Tuesday, maybe even Wednesday time frame of next week. You've probably been hearing about this, and people are calling it a death ridge and all that stuff. Relax with the sensationalism and hyperbole. We're not talking about that. I mean, this is normal summer stuff. This isn't, we're all going to die and it's 110 degrees or come on. This is just this normal summer stuff. This is an abbreviated heat wave. This is not going to be an extended thing. It's going to last for weeks. This is just for a 3 to 4 day period next week. We'll revisit this as we get a little bit closer, but right now it looks like next week we're going to have, starting on Sunday, the potential for that heat wave to move in. But it does look dry through the entire weekend, that Friday to Sunday period, which is a miracle in of itself. So your pool temperatures are going to go up anyway, if nothing else, in that Sunday through next week time frame. And then I think after that, once that ridge collapses in the middle of the following week, we get back to more seasonable stuff. But you remember, seasonable at that time is kind of low to mid 80s, so it's still very warm. We're not getting back into this nonsense we're dealing with now with temperatures in the 60s to near 70 like we're dealing with today. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchers. That is your outlook for June 16th, 2025. Have a great Monday.